I think we're starting. Good morning, everyone. I obviously I just got back from our Thursday running some chores, but uh, but I'm here almost on time. So, but I'm not all. I'm still dressed. It's so cold. It feels like 32 or below, uh, but it isn't. It just feels like this to these old Southern California bones. Uh, but anyway, I have time for a little talk with us this morning. I'm getting ready to do a little public event. It's the first public event I've done since for well over a year, maybe a year and a half, uh, because of the pandemic. But I'm cautiously doing a little bookstore event, a cute, charming little place called the East Village Bookshop, which is just within walking distance of my home here in Sacramento. And I'm going to just do a little book signing talk for the general public uh, kind of thing. It won't be very big, it's a small little shop. But uh, I'm preparing to do one of these events where it's likely that most people that are coming to see me aren't already aware of me or my work or anything like that. And so uh, I have to sort of screw my head back on uh, to approach things from the foundation of things. And so I'm preparing myself to be very exoteric in my esoteric uh, talk. Uh, so I've been looking at other things that I've written to see if I've ever said anything any better elsewhere. So I'll try to refresh my memory uh, of something I may have written when I was wiser than I feel right now. If, if anyone can identify with that. But anyway, there's two little things, and I've covered them in the question and answer section of Ask Baba Lon, answers to questions of life and magic. And I'm just going to read two little small things this morning, and then let us get on with our day. But I thought, as it is appropriate to what I'm doing, I'm going to see if it's appropriate to what you're doing and what you're thinking. Somebody wrote me and said, "Do I have to practice magic to be a Thelemite?" Dear Baba Lon, I was introducing a friend of mine to some thelemic work a few days ago, and he asked a question I didn't see a clear answer to. So, do you have to practice magic to be a Thelemite? I mentioned that a Thelemite is one who accepts the law and is actively pursuing the discovery of one's true will. The comedic difficulty came in his response, "Oh, all right, then what's the real point of doing it?" I mean, I like Thelema, but I don't see any reason to go through all this really hard material to find my true will. And then you have the whole hierarchy thing with the AA and the OTO. I explained, of course, this is still this person's letter to me. I explained, of course, that the great work can be done as an individual, just as you have said. However, I was still left with that inability to understand how oftentimes difficult study, Kabbalah, Enochian, and just about any other practice with its heavy doses of symbolism, is really sensible and finding the true will. Any advice here? Thanks in advance. Sincerely, name withheld. Dear name withheld, in my opinion, in order to personally and privately, though when you think of it, existence itself is personal and private, consider oneself a Thelemite. It's not at all necessary to practice any of the techniques of magic, belong to any initiatory society, or subscribe to or enmesh oneself in the study of any religion, doctrine, or philosophy other than that of seeking to discover, then doing one's will. I think it's safe to say that by this definition, most people on the planet who are successfully discovering and executing their wills do not realize, nor do they need to, that they are Thelemites, or that there's a name for what they are or what they are doing, that the name is magic of the highest order. It doesn't matter if they consider themselves Christian, Jew, Muslim, or atheist. If they've discovered and are doing their wills, they're really Thelemites down deep. After all, the statement is, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, not know what thou wilt shall be, or learn what thou wilt, or study what thou wilt, or fantasize what thou wilt, or identify oneself as thou wilt. That being said, it's also my opinion that in order to publicly and purposefully, I love those P words, identify oneself as a Thelemite and represent oneself as an adherent to the religious philosophy known to the world since 1904 as Thelema, one need only accept Liber al vel legis, the book of the law, without wishing to make changes in it, and engage in a perpetual process of living life as much as possible in according to one's current comprehension of that text. That being said, it is, in my opinion, that if one perceives it to be one's will to embark consciously upon the step-by-step path of initiation, the path followed by aspirants and holy men and women of every age, it is vitally important, as it always has been, to attune the process with the spiritual formula that is presently in harmony with humanity's current level of consciousness. How this is done need not be that difficult. In fact, the easiest way to understand the nature of the present spiritual formula is by studying the formula of the past as expressed in religious and magical rituals. This is what connects the law of Thelema to personal initiation and magical practices. One of the greatest gifts Aleister Crowley bequeathed to humanity is a body of rituals and mystical literature built upon the initiatory formulae of the past, but now tweaked to bring them in line with the formula of the new aeon. To identify as a Thelemite at this level, one must be like a Tibetan monk on the path to Lamahood, perform the disciplines, do the homework, study the literature, do the rituals, and live the life until such time as one becomes an integral part, expression, and manifestation of the formula itself. I hope this has been helpful. And there's another short question and a pretty short answer, and we'll do that too. Can you sum up Thelema and Crowley for the layman? And that's what I was looking up, preparing for my little talk this Friday. Dear Baba Lon, how would you describe Thelema to the layman? If I had no occult knowledge and I was looking into the religion for the first time and asked you to sum it up for me, what would you say? And how would you sum up Crowley to those unaware of who he was? Thank you. Name withheld. Dear Name Withheld, sum up Thelema and Crowley? Damn, you're not asking much this morning. Look, the only thing any of us knows for sure about ourselves is that we currently exist and that we are here. Most of us also have an abiding conviction that, for reasons beyond our current ability to comprehend, our present individual existence is somehow a correct phenomenon in the greater scheme of things. Otherwise, why would we struggle so passionately to preserve and prolong our existence? Are you with me so far? Without presuming to speculate unduly why we exist, why we are here, or why all of this is probably correct, Thelema recognizes each individual's place in and potential contribution to the universe as a whole. Thelema then goes on to posit that it is the duty of each one of us to discover what our unique potential contribution really is. In Thelema, this duty is called will. Once we discover that duty, what that duty is, or at least get a glimpse of what it might be, then it becomes imperative that we fulfill that duty, just like a planet or an electron in its proper orbit, and make that contribution to the universe, which we are a necessary part. In Thelema, we call this doing one's will. Still follow me? Obviously, discovering and executing our will can be a difficult process. By doing so, but so is living a life guided by any other philosophical or religious program. Let me say that again. Obviously, discovering and executing our will can be guided by any other philosophical or religious program. What makes Thelema unique is that it treats the individual as the basic unit of society, responsible entirely for his or her own reality. For as I said, the only thing any of us knows is that we currently exist and that we are here. How would I sum up Crowley to those unaware of who he was? I would simply say that Aleister Crowley was an extremely eccentric and controversial holy man of the 20th century. His theories on the nature of human consciousness are viewed by many as mystical pre-echoes of the revelations of modern quantum mechanics and astrophysics. For this, his followers hailed him as the prophet of the new aeon. I hope this has been helpful, Baba Lon. Well, it may not have been helpful to this individual, and it may not have been helpful to you, but it has given me a little anchor to moor my boat of my little talk on Crowley, Thelema, Magick, and Tarot that I'm going to do this Friday. If you're in the Sacramento area, please come on by. It's in East Sacramento. It's called the East Village Bookshop. Anyway, I know it's a little short this morning, but I'm freezing to death. I want to turn on my little heater and warm up a little bit. Until tomorrow, which will be Friday already. Oh my gosh. Okay. Continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.